Canadian GP. Lewis Hamilton in surprise FP3 surge as Max Verstappen recovers to P2. Lewis Hamilton took top spot in FP3 for the Canadian Grand Prix, with Max Verstappen second as Mercedes showed a turn of speed over one lap at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. George Russell was third, Lance Stroll fourth, and Oscar Piastri rounded out the top five. But Hamilton held a 0.374s gap to Verstappen as the Mercedes driver, a seven-time winner around Montreal, showed a flash of pace, while the reigning world champion recovered from ERS issues on Friday to put Red Bull second. After the mixed conditions that hampered the drivers running on Friday, FP3 started in completely dry conditions in Montreal on Saturday, with the drivers getting straight out on track for the final practice hour. Max Verstappen, on his first flying lap, suffered a snap of oversteer into the final chicane and hopped over the curbs, dubbing the steering on his Red Bull "super weird for me" afterwards. After a run into the wall in FP1 on Friday, rear lockup for Zhou Guanyu into turn 1 saw him spin his Sauber and slide backwards into the barrier on the entry to turn 2, which brought out the red flags after 6 minutes of the session. It was only a brief hiatus while Zhou's car was extracted and brought back to the pit lane, however, with the rest of the field quickly able to get back on with their FP3 programs. With the drivers exploring the limits in representative conditions arguably for the first time this weekend, Alex Albon ran onto the grass at the chicane of turns 8 and 9, blaming brake issues at that time. With that, teams were looking to take a split approach in free practice, Ferrari confirming they were doing so midway through FP3 with Carlos Sainz on soft tires and Charles Leclerc on mediums, while Red Bull were looking to longer run pace and sister team RB were looking at qualifying pace. As were Williams, with Logan Sargent setting purple first and second sectors before going top on a 1 minute and 14.355 seconds, with Sainz unable to beat him on soft tires. That time at the top of the leaderboard would not last long for the American, though, as George Russell soon pipped Sargent as more drivers began to make the switch to soft tires. A flurry of one-lap runs came in and Lewis Hamilton put himself quickest on a 1 minute and 13.464 seconds, just 0.011s ahead of Lando Norris heading into the final third of FP3, with the drivers and teams getting their eyes and ahead of qualifying later on. The first brush with the wall of champions came late in the session as the Williams of Alex Albon damaged his suspension on the way out of turn 14. A big hit on the final curb, sending him wide and brushing the final wall. He was able to keep going, albeit slowly, and bring his car back to the pit lane. A further chunk of flying laps came towards the end of the session, with Russell initially getting ahead of Mercedes teammate Hamilton, before the seven-time world champion went 7/10 quicker than anybody, on a 1 minute and 12.549 seconds. Rivals looked to close the gap to Hamilton as FP3 came to a close, but while others leapfrogged each other, it was Verstappen who came closest, but only to within 4/10 of the Mercedes driver as an unpredictable qualifying session was set up at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve on Saturday. We'll be bringing you the very latest updates and breaking news. So please subscribe to the channel, like, share, and leave your comment in the comment section below.